Hello, Termites. Welcome back. It's night 55. We've got the new book. One of my Twitter pals, Rob, sent. Any old book we'll just keep for good time's sake, right? Tonight, we're drinking one of my all-time favorite summer drinks, Dulce Vida Pineapple Jalapeño Tequila. Now, I showed you guys the grapefruit tequila before. This, I like them equally. Just depends on how hot it is. And then I like to use it with a little Fresca. You could drink it all by itself if you wanted, if you were that into it. And I bet you, I don't know if they have a website. It's Austin, Texas. If they have a website, they probably have like 150,000 cool recipes to do that. Okay, we're going back to Tanya. I'm gonna have a little drink of this first. If you're catching up, she's at this stage in her career where she has gone with this label album management company called Far Out, and they've tried to change her into a rock star. And although that might be a short-term gain, it's going to cause some problems. And the last headline was in a newspaper that said, Tanya Tucker forsakes Nashville. Country folk aren't keen on forgiving those kind of things. Okay, let's go. I tried to counter that impression every time I gave an interview. I explained that I was a singer who loved rock, and I certainly hadn't given up on country music. After all, one song on TNT, Texas, When I Die, was one of the most country songs I'd ever cut. I tried to explain that for me it was more of a case of show production, that I no longer wanted the little speakers, the small stages, the clubs. I would have put on a show that would rock the house. I wanted arena shows. Problem became, in one part, one of language. What I meant by rock the house was that I wanted so much energy, put so much energy into performance that nobody could stay in their seats. But the word rock translated into anti-country for many people. Categories and boxes are so damaging in an artistic field. If Jerry Garcia hadn't been heavily influenced by Bill Monroe, would his music even had as many dimensions? Boy, I can't comment on that. I am not a deadhead. My friend Brian is, and he plays it when we golf. And I know I'll catch a lot of shit for saying this, but it all sounds to me same to me. 18 holes, I feel like it's one long song. I don't feel like it ever ends. Maybe it is one long song. I've never asked him. I mean, it's fine, but boy, like, some people really, I think he's seen him like, I don't even know, probably 50 times, maybe more. The Beatles admired Elvis as much for his country roots and took his early rock releases. Johnny Cash was and is the idol of almost every rock musician in the world. Bob Dylan loved Nashville so much he made one of his finest albums with our musicians, and Mark Knopfler's work with Chet Atkins is brilliant. Garth Brooks has done a great deal to knock down the walls between country and pop and rock. Yeah. And then remember when Garth lost his little mind and did the Chris Gaines stunt? Didn't work at all. Spoke of himself in third person a lot. It's usually a sign of narcissism. I hope he's not, because I really like Trisha Yearwood's Southern Kitchen show. If you've never seen that, wow. She picked up the fatty fat model right from Paula Deen. She cooks stuff that I can't even tell you how many calories or how many carbs. It all looks wonderful, but wow, plan on dying young. Anyway, Garth has done a lot, and well, I don't know. I wanted what Garth had pulled off, a big show that draws in people who never thought they liked country before. It's rare that an artist can come along like Garth did and just take charge on his own terms. Country music owes artists like Garth, who broke down barriers, a big debt. Not everyone can break down the barriers without breaking themselves. He seems to have done just that, and God love him for it. And what was that concert that he had on television recently? Not recently, but within the last year. It was at Notre Dame. I didn't understand what that was. Like, what is does he have some affiliation with Notre Dame? I can't picture that. He's from Oklahoma. Oh, it's very strange. It was like on a Sunday night. It was like a throwback. It was like something you would have seen in the 70s, like Sunday night on NBC. Garth Brooks entertains at Notre Dame Stadium. Anyway, I learned just what a mistake all that hype about TNT had been at the 1978 DJ convention in Nashville, where once a year DJs from across the nation gather in Nashville for a week of parties, meetings, and showcases and schmoozing. The DJ convention is one of the most important events in the country music industry, and we depend so desperately on radio airplay. That's the good thing about comedians. We need that's great. That's been a really big help. But like regular radio, they don't really play comedy, so we don't really have to do all. I mean, we call them or go in there sometimes to say we're in town, but you don't have to rely on your income for that. Rockers like the Grateful Dead might be able to keep on keeping on without hit records, but country artists have to have airplay to book good venues and to sell albums. Careers can be made at this event. Labels fight to get their new acts on the New Faces showcase, where radio can feel the excitement of a career launch right up close. Current hit makers show up to remind radio that they're hot right now, and artists who haven't had a hit in a while show up to remind radio they could easily get hot once again. All week could happen. I could. Just because I'm not doing that right now doesn't mean I'm not capable. Doesn't mean I won't. That's right. But careers can also be damaged if something goes wrong. And for me, the convention took the nasty turn. What? I was very excited to premiere my TNT album at a show for the DJs. I flew to Nashville feeling like I owned the world. For one thing, I was coming off a big radio hit with Texas, parentheses, When I Die, the album's first single. We, the band and I, were so proud of our new, hot new sound and my Elvis-inspired stage moves. I was 19 years old and ready to knock 'em dead. So that night I walked on stage with all the confidence in the world. The band was on, and so was I. But we didn't start with Texas When I Die. We came out of the chute with the rockin' side of TNT. I'd planned on saving my new hit until later in the show. We went into Brown Eyed Handsome Man and Heartbreak Hotel. I figured the people would go nuts. They did, but not in the way I'd hoped. At first, there was just a lack of response. Then came some scattering booing. Then came some scattered booing. I didn't even understand booing a Chuck Berry song, but the fact that a country crowd would boo Heartbreak Hotel, a song written by Mama Mae Axton, one of the industry's greatest ladies, stunned me. Later, I decided they weren't reacting so much to the music as to the sex pot hype that had preceded it. Up on stage, I was sweating rocks. These were the guys who either let you on the airways or kicked your butt off. Yeah, they kicked them Dixie Chicks off. We've already talked about that, though. And then they ran over their CDs with their trucks in Walmart parking lots. Because that's America. And you got the right to do it. You have the right to wreck your own shit anytime you want. You go run over all the CDs that have pissed you off, or somebody wrote something on Facebook or Twitter that you didn't like. Bullshit. Screw them. Just run over your money. Okay, so she's sweating rocks. There was an amazing amount of power out there. Lord, when that power is positive and energy, Lord, when that power and energy is negative and directed towards you on stage, it's a fearful thing. I knew I had to do something quick or I was dead in the water, so I changed the song lineup and we did Texas When I Die. That brought him home. I somehow finished the show. When I left the stage, I was shaking, but at least I felt like I hadn't blown my whole career right there on that Nashville stage. Texas When I Die was a top 5 country hit, and flip side, my version of Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away got onto the pop charts. You'd have thought Far Out had taken me out of the top of the rock charts to hear them talk about that little bit of pop success. The follow-up, I'm the Singer, You're the Song, barely cracked country's top 20, and the flip side of that release, Love Her Goodbye, couldn't even make it into pop's top 100. Maybe the DJ convention hadn't destroyed my career, but I could tell that something was going sour, because after Texas When I Die, the singles weren't working. When I tried to communicate my concerns to Steve Gold and Jerry Goldstein, as if I didn't exist, there were still the 2 or 3 hour waits in the outer office, the wild behavior from Steve, screaming at secretaries, storming around the office. At the same time, they were telling me that the album was going platinum and things were right on target. It was all very confusing. Meanwhile, she's just practicing more ping pong, waiting on somebody's fat ass to come into the office. Platinum or not, things were obviously not even on the rifle range. Well, I've never heard of that expression. I'm going to start using that. Just throw it out at a bar. Ain't nothing here, even on the rifle range. For one thing, I knew some of those sales were because of the controversial nature of TNT's marketing. From the red bodysuit to the microphone cord through my legs to the Hustler ads. She's 19. I understood ever since Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone that conflict and controversy isn't always bad. It can be great publicity, but even at the time I knew that TNT was a hype and it wasn't working to my benefit. One more time, a paragraph, because I can tell you termites are getting sleepy, aren't you? You getting tired out there? I'm not. I could read the whole book tonight out loud, but I won't. I'm saving it. As the weeks went by, I started to feel like a sword was sticking through me. I could feel what little control I had slipping away. In fact, I'd realized that Far Out had hyped me into believing I had any control at all, the same way they were hyping the album sales. Then a couple of days before the platinum in a year deal was up, they showed up at a concert and presented me with a platinum record. Oh, how coincidental. Are we not catching on yet? Come on. I was stunned. They pulled it off. I hurried off stage and looked down at the album and saw it wasn't even an authorized platinum award. Exactly. They had a fake platinum record made for their presentation. When we asked Mike Matlin about sales, he assured us even though we weren't certified, we were very close to platinum. Well, if that's the case, everyone is. If you're close, it could be all of them away or just, 2 away. So we stayed with Far Out. We didn't know what else to do. Shoo, buddy. Well, termites. That's a lot. I read probably extra long tonight. I don't know why, because I'm in a fired up mood. I think it's the tequila. I also I'll tell you about that tomorrow night. I started watching something else. I got to get a coaster on this. I like this chair. I don't need to be ruining it. All right, termites. It's hot out there. If you're anywhere south of Canada, it's hot. So turn on your air conditioning if you got it. Make it super cold. I like it at about 68. Get yourself in bed, and as you're falling asleep, just remember you're a good termite. And you say to yourself, I'm a good termite. Night, night, termite. You'll feel better and you have a good dream. There you go.